Hello beautiful, welcome back to Nat's Beautiful Life. Today I'm going to be doing part 2 of my March wrap up. I will put the link to the part 1 down below. I honestly don't know how many books I read this month. I just know that I didn't want a 45-minute video, so I decided to split it up. Yeah, if you're new to the channel, my name is Natasha. I do videos on books, beauty, and bullet journaling. And you can follow me on my social media down below. I'm doing a lot of Facebook Live and things like that right now because we have the time. Alright, so if you like me, if you like the books, if you like the video, then hit subscribe, click that little notification bell, and a thumbs up, and I would very much appreciate it. Alright, so the last book we talked about was Children of Time by Yankoski, which was a sci-fi, which I really enjoyed, and I did a lot of types of classics and things like that, as well as some new stuff. So, first book. I decided to go ahead and just go through the Sherlock Holmes in order. I only did 2 books this month, so don't worry, it's not going to be all about Sherlock Holmes. But if you would like a video when I'm done of the order in which you read Sherlock Holmes and also reviews on the different books, let me know. I'm happy to do that. But the first book I read was The Study in Charlotte by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. This is the very first book you read when you read the Sherlock Holmes series. And then the second book is The Sign of 4. I'll put a picture here. I did that as an ebook on my library situation because I like these editions. The covers are really nice, and so I want to get like a set of them. But anyway, my point is, if you like the BBC show of the Sherlock, you will like to read the books because Benedict Cumberbatch's portrayal of Sherlock, and also the other guy, I can't remember his name, that Watson, they are spot on to this, and it reads just like that. Of course, the stories on the TV show are going to be a little bit different than here, but I really did enjoy this. I love Sherlock Holmes, and great reads for me. So this one follows, they find a person in a room and can't figure out how they died. So part of it is the investigation, and then you kind of have this other part that has them going back to why the murder occurred, and then you come back, and so that's great. Sign of 4, also very intriguing. So like I said, great mysteries, and they're very smart and cleverly done, so really like them. Alright, next book is kind of an easy read. It was The Bookshop on the Corner by Jenny Colgan. This is a book about a lady who lives in England, and she's a librarian, and the libraries in that area are closing or like kind of consolidating into one library in a city, and they're doing everything kind of digitally, and she just loves books, and she loves to put people together with a perfect book. So she winds up buying a van and moving to Scotland, and there's a lot more to it than this, and starting her own little bookstore out of her van. And there is a little bit of romance in there, but it's also just kind of her finding a way to do what she loves to do, even though it's weird and people think she's crazy, but then people are just like, wow, I wish I could have done something like that. But yeah, really did enjoy this. It is a simple read. It was a nice palate cleanse for me, and I really did enjoy it. I highly recommend. This next book is an arc. It was supposed to come out on June 16th. I don't think it's coming out to July now, according to Goodreads. I will link my review for it down below. The person who passed me the arc for review was having a great time reading my review. Let's just say that. This book, Imperfect Women by Araminta Hall. Apparently she wrote a book called Our Kind of Cruelty that was well received. This book is garbage. Don't pick it up. And the thing is, it has such a good premise. It's supposed to be 3 women who are best friends since college, and it takes place in England again. I love reading British books for some reason. I noticed that. Anyway, but yeah, so there's 3 friends. They're supposed to be best friends since college, and they have kind of different lives, and one of them is murdered, and all of this, you know, if somebody would have handed me the outline of this book and said, this is what's going to happen, I would have said, this is spot on, this is awesome, this is great, give it to me. And I was all about it. But then I read it, and I can't believe a woman wrote this book. And when you read my Goodreads review, you'll see why. This book, I gave it 2 stars only for one person. So our 3 main characters are Eleanor, Mary, and Nancy. Eleanor's downstairs neighbor is an older lady named Irina, and she added a star. This would have been a 1 star. It is 2 star only because of Irina and something that she said that was very cool, and I've put that in my review, but I'm just gonna tell you right now, don't bother. Don't bother. I read that book, so you don't have to. You're welcome. Okay? Next book, Becoming by Michelle Obama. This was the book of the month for the Girls Night Out book club. I read a little bit, and I also have done the audiobook. Audiobook's very well done, but I read very fast, and audiobooks are usually slow, so I'm actually listening at it at like 1.35 speed. But this is really good. I think if you love anthropology or like society, the study, or sociology, like the study of societies, cultures, things like that, this is a very good, interesting story study, because you kind of go where she started in this neighborhood when she was younger. It was a certain way, and as she got older, she actually noticed the change, but it was like a subtle change where you didn't notice it at first, and all of that. But just and then other things like cultures, like in Princeton, and just how she went to school every day and things like that. Anyway, it's just really interesting. The only problem is I'm not in the mood for a memoir, so I haven't finished it. It's one that I will finish later, probably when I can really focus on it and enjoy it, because like I said, it's interesting information, and I have enjoyed what I have read about it, but it's like not one I'm like wanting to pick up right now, because I want stories and things like that. So I do recommend it. It is a good book, and a lot of people the people who read it really loved it, and people who did the audiobook just loved it as well. And the audiobook did win a Grammy, so apparently it's really good. But I think, I don't know, let me see how far I am in it. I think I'm in chapter 11. Chapter 11, I think, is where I am, but I'll probably, like I said, I'll probably finish it later. All right, next book was a recommendation from a friend, and that was the Rosie Project from, is it Graeme Simsion? I don't know. This name right here, This is not normally a book that I would normally I would normally pick this up. This is not a book that I would normally pick up. It's kind of looks kind of romancy, and it kind of is, kind of isn't, but I gave this 2.5 stars, I think, just because it's not my kind of book. The writing was really dry, but it was supposed to be because our main character is on the spectrum with Asperger's, and basically if Sheldon Cooper and a wild woman got together, that's what you have. What I don't like seeing in books that have representation about Asperger's and autism and stuff like that are extreme cases that are either magically cured, or somebody comes along and just all of a sudden they're cured and they're able to go on. It's not very realistic, and I think that I don't like that. So that was one thing I had an issue with. The other thing was, yeah, it's just not my kind of book. But if you like love stories, if you like interesting stuff like that, you'll like it. So that's all I have to say about that. It fell a little flat for me, and the first part of the book I was like, I don't know, I'm trying to get through 100 pages, and when I get to 100 pages I'll decide if I'm going to continue or not. But when I get to the middle of the book, I actually started enjoying it and wanting to see what was going on, and then the end fell flat for me. So anyway, take that with a grain of salt because again, not something I normally read. I read it on a recommendation and not something I hated, but not something I loved. But you might if this is your thing. It reminded me at first of that movie, and I haven't even watched the whole movie because again, I don't like watching movies like that. Along Came Polly with Ben Stiller and Jennifer Aniston. It kind of reminded me of that at first, and then it leveled out a little bit. Anyway, then we moved on to some other books. I feel like I've read something else besides that right there, but I can't think of what it would be. But the next book was a buddy read I did over on Byzan's, and that is We Have Always Lived in the Castle by Shirley Jackson. I enjoyed this so much. I've not read The Haunting of Hill House, but I have watched the series, and this book was the horror book for the book club that's down the street for the bookstore. And so I was like, oh, I'll pick that up and take a read. And I did the thing on Byzan's. This book is more creepy than horror. It's not really scary. It's just the people are creepy. I wasn't really super happy with the end, and I have a feeling that the movie, I haven't watched the movie yet, but I'm planning on maybe doing a watch party or something that I'll mention on Facebook and all that stuff. I have a feeling they went a little different direction with the movie. Seems like it would work better that way. But I did enjoy this. I love it. So it's basically two sisters and a uncle who's older who live in a big house, and the rest of the family has been murdered, and people accuse one sister of it, and she was acquitted, but the whole town basically doesn't believe that. They believe she did it. And so like the younger sister goes and once or twice a week to the town to get supplies and things like that, but she's made fun of, she's mistreated, and people just act really weird around them. In fact, the uncle was someone who was also poisoned with the rest of the family, and he lived, but he's in a wheelchair and his mind's not right and things like that. So very strange, very strange. You have a cousin who shows up who's kind of interested in stealing the family fortunes, and then just all kinds of craziness ensues. So this is an interesting book. I actually enjoyed it. I enjoyed the actual process of reading it and looked forward to picking it up. It is something you can read in a day. I didn't too, just because of time. But yeah, I do recommend this. It's good. And like I said, if you're wanting something else a little different, a little creepy, but it's not scary where you're just going to be like haunted at night, then I highly recommend this book here. And the last book is a reread for me, and that was Crazy Love by Frances Chan. It is Overwhelmed by a Relentless God, and I have really enjoyed this book, and it's really encouraged me to look around during this time now and see what I can do to kind of help out with this time. So things like, and I encourage you to do it as well, look around, and if there's anything that you can do to help in your community while people are going through a difficult time, giving to food banks, or if you're healthy enough, donating your time to work in those things, or just whatever, just organizing bear hunts in your community. That's where you put teddy bears all over your place and the kids go hunting. Okay, you're not actually doing bears. It's safe. But things like that, just anything that you can do to brighten someone's day or make a difference right now, it will help you kind of get your mind off, your focus off of what's going on right now, and will help you feel better about things. So but this is, especially if you are a Christian, this is a really good book. It helps you focus on not just being convicted or understanding or agreeing with things, but actually taking some action and doing some things about it. So very good read. I highly recommend it. All right, that is it. That's part 2. I have a book haul to film in a little bit, and it is massive because I have been buying books like a mad woman because I'm going through books about a day and a half to 2 days. I'm going through books, normal size books. It might take me 3 or 4 for the behemoths, but I've taken in a lot of books this month. So I will be doing that haul for you, and let me know what you've been reading this month. Again, I'll put part 1 down below, and thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate you so much. Have a great day, gorgeous.